Have you ever found yourself wondering why, as we age, some things are better kept private? What if, by sharing too much about your personal life, whether it's your finances, your health, or your deeply held beliefs, you could unintentionally create stress or open yourself up to judgment? In this video, we're going to explore some of the most surprising aspects of life that, as we grow older, might be better left unsaid. You'll discover why keeping certain parts of your life private can be a powerful way to protect your peace, maintain your dignity, and even nurture healthier and more fulfilling relationships. As you go through this video, you'll gain a deeper understanding of why talking about personal matters like your finances, health, or even your age can invite unnecessary pressure or judgment from others. We'll dive into these topics and share practical tips on how to set healthy boundaries that allow you to live a more independent, empowered, and peaceful life. If you're someone who values personal freedom and a fulfilling future, then you're in the right place. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped to find that delicate balance between sharing and protecting the most important parts of your life, ensuring that your choices align with your well-being and peace of mind. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I recommend doing so. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support truly means the world to me, and if you've enjoyed this content, please take a moment to like and share the video so we can continue spreading these important lessons. And now, I'd love to hear from you. If you resonate with the topic of today's video, please comment 1. If you don't, please leave a 0, and let me know how I can improve and make even better content for you. Alright, let's get started. 1. Money. When it comes to maintaining privacy, money is often one of the first areas where we should exercise caution. It's essential to be mindful of how much you share regarding your financial situation. Under no circumstances is it wise to disclose specific details about your income, savings, or personal financial matters. As we age, financial stability becomes an even more critical pillar of comfort and security. It provides a sense of peace, allowing us to rest easy knowing that we can support ourselves and enjoy a fulfilling life without unnecessary worries. However, this sense of financial independence can also become a vulnerability. Let's take a moment to think about it. Imagine casually mentioning your income or the size of your savings, even with the best of intentions. The people you speak to may begin to perceive you differently. Friends, family members, or even casual acquaintances might see you as a potential resource, someone they can benefit from, whether consciously or unconsciously. This shift in perception may not even be something they're fully aware of, but it happens all the same. It's only natural for people to notice wealth and start to think about the possibilities that come with it. But that doesn't mean the situation is harmless. By sharing too much about your financial situation, you risk inviting unwanted attention, discomfort, or even judgments into your life. People may begin to treat you differently, and you could unintentionally place yourself in a position where others expect something from you, or worse, take advantage of your generosity. You might find yourself feeling resentful, wondering why people are treating you in a way that doesn't align with the relationship you thought you had. For example, imagine someone like Susan, a retired schoolteacher living in Ohio. Susan had always been a generous person, sharing her experiences and offering advice on finances. One day, she mentioned her savings to a friend, hoping to help her understand the importance of setting aside money for retirement. But, shortly after, Susan noticed a shift in her friend's behavior. The friend began asking for loans, bringing up her financial difficulties more often, and making subtle comments about how lucky Susan was. Over time, this started to create a tension that Susan didn't expect. What was meant to be a simple conversation turned into a situation where her finances became a point of focus and, in some ways, a source of stress. This is why, as we grow older, it's crucial to keep details about our money private. It helps safeguard our peace of mind, preserves the balance in our relationships, and ensures that we're not unintentionally putting ourselves in a vulnerable position. 2. Age. Age is a fact of life. The years we accumulate as we grow older are inevitable. However, there's a fine line between acknowledging our age and letting it shape the way others view us. While talking about our age may seem natural or even necessary at times, doing so too frequently can unintentionally alter how people perceive us, often in ways we don't expect. When you bring up your age often, it might lead others to make assumptions about your capabilities. Assumptions that focus more on your perceived limitations than on the endless possibilities ahead of you. Take, for example, someone like John, a retired engineer living in Florida. John is proud of his long and fulfilling career, but recently, he started talking more openly about his age, mentioning it in conversations with friends and family. Over time, John noticed that his adult children began to treat him with more caution. They'd offer to help him with tasks he'd never needed assistance with before, assuming that he might not be able to handle certain things on his own. At first, John was touched by their concern, but it soon became apparent that these gestures, although well-intentioned, were based on the belief that he was no longer as capable as he once was. This subtle shift in their behavior made John feel diminished and less confident. The truth is, age is just a number, a label that doesn't define the wealth of experiences we've had or the energy we continue to bring into the world. What truly matters as we grow older is how we approach each new day, how we embrace challenges, and how we keep our curiosity alive. Age does not dictate our vitality. Our resilience, wisdom, and joy are what make us who we are. These qualities are timeless, transcending any number on a birth certificate. Consider someone like Maria, a 72-year-old woman in California who loves hiking, reading, and exploring new hobbies. Maria never lets her age define what she can or cannot do. She continues to push herself to learn new things, engage with the world around her, and maintain an active lifestyle. She knows that it's not about the number of years that have passed, but about the choices she makes every day and the attitude she brings to those choices. By focusing on her abilities and the possibilities ahead, Maria is a shining example of someone who refuses to be limited by her age. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. What truly matters is how you face each day. Age should not be a barrier. Instead, let it be a reminder of all you've learned and the wisdom you've gained. Cultivate a sense of curiosity and engage actively with life. Let your actions, your passion, and your vitality speak louder than any number ever could. 3. Family secrets. Every family is like a unique tapestry, woven with countless stories, cherished memories, and inevitably, secrets that are best kept within the family circle. These secrets may not always be dark or scandalous. Sometimes, they are simply matters of personal history, misunderstandings, or past conflicts that, for various reasons, are better left unspoken. Just as a tapestry holds its threads together to create a beautiful whole, there are moments and stories within a family that are better preserved as part of the private narrative. Take, for example, someone like Sarah, a 67-year-old grandmother living in Texas. Sarah's family has always been close-knit, but like many families, there have been moments of tension and disagreements. Times when siblings didn't see eye to eye, or decisions were made that caused division. Sarah often found herself in the middle of these family struggles. However, as she got older, Sarah learned the importance of keeping certain aspects of the family's past private. When she first moved into a smaller house after retiring, she would occasionally share stories from the past with her children. But as time went on, she realized that some of these stories only reopened old wounds. Family conflicts that were buried deep began to resurface, creating unnecessary tension among her children. Sarah quickly understood that sharing too much about past family issues, even in an attempt to connect or explain, could cause harm instead of healing. The reality is that keeping certain family secrets close to the heart isn't about hiding the truth or being dishonest. It's about protecting the family's dignity and preserving the harmony that exists in the present. Family dynamics can be complicated, and while it might feel natural to share personal stories, those stories often come with unintended consequences. A seemingly harmless mention of a past argument, an old disagreement, or a family member's past mistakes can quickly spiral into a situation that brings discomfort, embarrassment, or resentment. Consider the experience of James and his wife, Laura, both in their late 60s. James had always been open about his childhood and the difficult relationship he had with his father. While sharing these stories felt like an honest way to express his emotions, he soon noticed that it caused his children to view their grandfather in a negative light. They started to question the character of someone they had barely known, based on stories that were part of a complex family history. In an attempt to share a piece of his past, James inadvertently caused a rift in his children's relationship with their grandfather. This is why, as we grow older, it becomes even more crucial to weigh the impact of sharing family stories. Sometimes, certain aspects of our family history are better kept within the confines of the family circle. Sharing these moments, even casually, can sometimes reopen old wounds, generate unnecessary tension, or lead to embarrassment. It's important to protect the emotional well-being of the family members involved, and sometimes that means choosing silence over words. In the end, the goal is not to erase the past but to create an environment where the present is filled with understanding, peace, and respect. It's okay to protect the dignity of those we love, even if it means keeping certain parts of the family story private. 4. Health. As we grow older, health inevitably becomes a more central concern in our lives. From routine doctor visits to managing medications and practicing daily wellness habits, our health is something that occupies a significant part of our attention. Naturally, there's a strong urge to share our health experiences with others, whether it's to connect, seek advice, or find comfort. But while it may feel comforting to talk about our health challenges with loved ones or friends, this is one area of our lives where discretion is often key. Take for example someone like Robert, a 71-year-old retired teacher living in North Carolina. Robert has had a few health challenges in recent years, including high blood pressure and some joint pain. While he enjoys connecting with his friends and family, he found himself sharing a lot about his health, hoping it would bring support and empathy. But over time, he started to notice that people began to treat him differently. His adult children started offering unsolicited advice, his friends would check in constantly, and some of his colleagues at church began offering suggestions on natural remedies or better ways to manage his health. What Robert didn't realize was that, by constantly discussing his health, he was inadvertently changing the way others viewed him. While his intentions were simply to be open and honest, his frequent talks about his health made others begin to see him as fragile or incapable, despite his sense of independence. The more he spoke about his health, the more he was defined by it, rather than his full identity as an active, engaged person with many other facets of his life. Health is an incredibly personal matter, and it's easy to underestimate the effect sharing too much can have on how others perceive you. When we talk extensively about our health, we risk being seen as more vulnerable or fragile than we feel, which can affect our sense of self-worth and autonomy. This shift in perception can even lead to well-meaning but intrusive behavior from others. For example, after sharing his health challenges, Robert found himself overwhelmed by suggestions about diets, medications, and treatments, none of which he had asked for. Though they came from a place of concern, the constant advice added to his stress rather than alleviating it. This is why maintaining privacy around our health is so important. It's not just about autonomy, although that is crucial, it's also about maintaining a sense of control over our well-being. When we limit the number of people we talk to about our health, we take back that control. We focus on managing our health on our terms, without the influence of outside opinions or interpretations. For instance, consider Jennifer, a 68-year-old woman in Seattle, who has been dealing with chronic migraines for years. Jennifer found it helpful to confide in a few close friends who truly understood her struggle. But instead of sharing the details with everyone in her social circle, Jennifer made the conscious decision to talk less about her health issues with acquaintances and coworkers. By keeping her health matters more private, she felt empowered to handle them in her way, without being constantly reminded of her condition. The act of protecting your health privacy can be freeing. It gives you the space to take care of your body without feeling judged or constantly advised. Health should be your journey, one that you navigate on your terms. By keeping certain aspects of your health to yourself, you maintain the ability to make decisions that are best for you, free from the influence of well-meaning but sometimes overwhelming advice. 5. Charitable actions. We all know that one of the most noble actions we can take in life is helping others. Whether it's donating money, volunteering our time, or offering support in any form, the simple act of giving without expecting anything in return has the power to enrich our lives and fill our hearts. Helping others is a beautiful and selfless endeavor, one that reflects our deepest values and desires to make a positive impact on the world. But here's a crucial question that often goes unasked. Does everyone need to know about your charitable actions? Consider someone like Carol, a 70-year-old retired nurse from Michigan, who has spent her life giving back to her community. Carol regularly volunteers at the local food bank, donates to various charities, and helps her neighbors with everything from grocery runs to small home repairs. Her heart is in the right place, and her actions have made a real difference in many lives. However, over time, Carol started noticing that she was sharing these acts of kindness a little too freely. She would tell her friends about the donations she'd made or the volunteer hours she'd put in. At family gatherings, she would mention her latest charitable endeavors, hoping to inspire others to do the same. One day, Carol had an epiphany. By talking so much about her charitable acts, she was shifting the focus away from the good she was doing and onto herself. Instead of the conversation being about the people she was helping, it became about her generosity. It dawned on Carol that charity loses its purity when it becomes a spectacle, a performance to be admired. The true value of charity lies in the act itself, not in seeking recognition or praise for it. Carol's realization is one that many of us can relate to. We live in an age where sharing every detail of our lives has become almost second nature. Social media, for example, has made it easy to share our acts of kindness, from donations to volunteer work, in the hopes of inspiring others or receiving acknowledgement. But when we constantly broadcast our charitable deeds, we risk turning something profoundly meaningful into a form of self-promotion. The focus shifts from the recipients of our generosity to us, and in doing so, we dilute the true spirit of giving. This doesn't mean that we should stop helping others or sharing our positive actions altogether. Rather, it's about finding a balance. It's about giving without seeking glory, and doing so quietly and humbly. Take, for instance, Thomas, a 68-year-old retired businessman from Arizona. Thomas has always been generous with his time and resources, but he made a conscious decision to keep his charitable acts private. He didn't need a pat on the back or recognition for the things he did. For him, the reward came from knowing that he was making a real difference, not from sharing his actions with the world. By giving without expecting anything in return and without sharing every detail, Thomas preserved the integrity of his charitable actions. He focused on the joy of helping others, rather than on the need for external validation. The key takeaway here is that true charity comes from the heart, and its beauty lies in its selflessness. The moment charity becomes about seeking recognition is the moment it loses its power. Giving is about helping others without the need for applause, and doing so with sincerity and humility. The best kind of charity is the kind that goes unnoticed by everyone except the person whose life you've touched. 6. Personal beliefs. Let's explore one of the most deeply personal areas of life: your beliefs. These are the values, principles, and ideas that have been shaped over time by your experiences, your struggles, and the lessons life has taught you. They are the very fabric of who you are, offering depth and meaning to your journey. Your beliefs are what guide you through life, helping you make decisions, find purpose, and navigate challenges. But as we grow older, there's a realization that constantly sharing those beliefs with others, or insisting that they adopt your viewpoint, can sometimes lead to unintended consequences, such as misunderstandings, tensions, or even outright conflicts. Think about someone like Frank, a 72-year-old retired lawyer from New York. Over the years, Frank has developed strong beliefs about politics, religion, and the way the world should be. He feels passionately about his views, and for a long time, He thought that sharing his opinions openly would help others see things his way. But recently, Frank noticed a shift in his interactions with friends and family. When he brought up his political beliefs at a family gathering, it sparked an argument with his brother, who held completely different views. A simple conversation turned into a heated debate, and what was intended to be an exchange of ideas ended up creating a rift between them. This is a common experience for many people as they age. The more we share our beliefs, the more likely we are to encounter others who don't see the world in the same way. While it's natural to want to express our thoughts, the reality is that not everyone shares the same perspective. And that's part of the beauty of life, our diversity of thought and belief. It's what makes us unique. But when we try to convince others to adopt our views, or when we feel the need for validation, we can inadvertently create walls instead of bridges. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For example, Jennifer, a 68-year-old widow in Michigan, has always been outspoken about her religious faith. She believes strongly in the importance of kindness and compassion, and she feels that everyone should share her faith to experience true peace. For years, Jennifer would share her beliefs with friends and family, hoping to inspire them. But over time, she noticed that her insistence on explaining her faith made others uncomfortable. Some of her friends would politely nod, but they often avoided discussing religion with her, feeling they couldn't live up to her expectations. Jennifer realized that while her beliefs were deeply meaningful to her, they weren't always welcomed by others in the same way. As we grow older, we begin to understand the value of inner harmony. Part of that peace comes from realizing that it's not necessary to express everything we think or believe. We start to embrace the beauty of silence, knowing that we can hold our beliefs close to our hearts without the need to constantly share them with others. This isn't about hiding our true selves, but about recognizing that some things are deeply personal and that the need to be heard can sometimes take away from the tranquility we seek. Take Linda, a 74-year-old artist from California. Over the years, she developed a deep appreciation for meditation and mindfulness. Rather than constantly talking about these practices, she quietly continues to cultivate them in her daily life. When friends ask about her peace of mind, she shares her thoughts only when it feels appropriate. She respects others' journeys and doesn't feel the need to convince them of her path. By doing so, Linda has found a deep sense of peace and connection with those around her, free from the pressure to explain or justify her beliefs. The challenge lies in the desire to explain ourselves, especially when we feel strongly about something. But the more we try to get others to understand or adopt our ideas, the more likely we are to encounter resistance, misunderstanding, or even dismissal. Instead of seeking external validation, we can find peace in quietly embracing our beliefs and living them out in a way that feels authentic to us, without the need for constant expression or approval from others. Ultimately, as we age, we learn that true wisdom lies not in convincing others to think like we do, but in finding harmony with ourselves, respecting others' viewpoints, and letting our actions reflect our beliefs rather than our words. 7. Insults and resentments. One of the most liberating steps we can take as we grow older is letting go of past insults and grudges. Over the years, we accumulate a heavyweight, emotional baggage filled with old arguments, bitter words, and hurtful moments. These unresolved feelings can anchor us, preventing us from fully embracing the peace and joy that should come with age. Carrying around this emotional weight can be exhausting, and it often drags us down, whether we realize it or not. Think about someone like Mary, a 74-year-old woman in Ohio, who had been holding on to a grudge for years. In her early adult life, Mary had a falling out with her younger sister, Susan, over a disagreement about their parents' estate. The argument became so heated that they stopped speaking for decades. Mary never fully let go of the resentment, often replaying the painful words Susan had said to her in her mind. Even as the years passed and Susan moved away, Mary continued to carry the weight of that unresolved conflict. Every time she thought about her sister, the anger would resurface, and the emotional burden would return. The irony is that while Mary was still holding on to this resentment, Susan likely had long since moved on. She probably didn't even remember the specifics of their argument, let alone hold any ill will toward Mary. Yet, Mary had allowed this unresolved issue to take up space in her life, influencing her mood, her relationships, and her well-being. The emotional energy spent on harboring resentment was a weight that Mary carried alone, while Susan, who might not even be aware of the lingering hurt, was free of it. This scenario is more common than we realize. Many of us hold on to past insults or hurtful words from people who may no longer be in our lives. It could be a disagreement with a friend, a family member, or even a coworker. Situations that happened years ago, yet still feel fresh in our minds. The longer we hold on to these feelings, the more they interfere with our ability to experience peace in the present. As we age, we begin to understand that the real burden is not in what others have said or done, but in our decision to let it continue to affect us. The person who insulted us or wronged us may have long moved on, and they may not even remember the offense. But by holding on to resentment, we allow their words to occupy space in our present, continuing to affect our emotions and relationships. Consider Jack, a 69-year-old man from New Jersey. Jack had a close friend, Tom, with whom he had a falling out over a misunderstanding. The argument had happened years ago, but Jack never let go of the hurt and anger. When they bumped into each other at the grocery store, Jack's first reaction was still resentment, even though Tom had apologized years ago. Jack realized that this lingering grudge was preventing him from enjoying the relationships he had now, and that Tom had probably long forgotten about the argument. Jack decided it was time to let go. He realized that holding on to this grudge was like carrying a heavy burden that no one else even knew about. Over time, he let go of the anger, and it wasn't long before he found himself feeling lighter, more at peace with himself, and free to move forward without the weight of the past holding him back. Letting go of resentment is not just about forgiving others. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional baggage that weighs you down. It's about choosing peace and reclaiming your emotional energy for the present and future, rather than letting old wounds dictate your happiness. 8. Honor and reputation. As we grow older, the desire for recognition and respect often evolves. For many, the pursuit of public acclaim becomes less important than the quiet assurance of personal dignity. While honor and reputation are undeniably valuable, we begin to recognize a significant difference between protecting our good name and seeking validation through constant praise and admiration. Take someone like Charles, a 75-year-old retired professor from Boston. In his younger years, Charles worked tirelessly to build a reputation in academia. He published papers, attended conferences, and received accolades for his contributions to the field. For a long time, the external recognition of his work meant everything to him. But as Charles entered his later years, he began to notice a shift in his priorities. He found that the relentless pursuit of recognition, the need to be seen and admired by others, no longer carried the same weight. Instead, he started to focus more on the satisfaction of living a life that was true to his values. Charles realized that true greatness is not in the applause of others, but in the quiet dignity of living authentically and with integrity. The work he had done and the relationships he had built spoke for themselves, and he no longer needed to constantly remind others of his achievements to find meaning in his life. He found peace in the knowledge that his legacy wasn't about public acknowledgement. It was about the way he had chosen to live day after day, guided by humility and purpose. For many of us, this is a lesson that only becomes clear with time. When we are younger, we may feel the urge to boast about our successes or seek validation from others, thinking that it will enhance our self-worth. But as we age, we come to understand that the true measure of a life well lived isn't in the applause we receive, but in the way we conduct ourselves in the world. Our actions, our integrity, and how we treat others are the qualities that define our true honor. Consider Elizabeth, a 70-year-old woman from Georgia, who has spent decades as a community organizer. Elizabeth was once driven by the desire to be recognized for her contributions to various causes, always striving to make her work known. But as she grew older, Elizabeth began to find fulfillment in the quiet moments. Helping a neighbor without expecting anything in return, offering guidance to a young person just starting in the field, and making a difference without any fanfare. She realized that the more she let go of the need for recognition, the more deeply she could connect with others and the more meaningful her contributions became. The desire for recognition may always be a part of us to some degree, but as we mature, we learn that true honor comes from within. It's about having the self-assurance to know that the way we live our lives, not the praise we receive, is what truly matters. When we let go of the need for constant validation, we create space for a deeper sense of contentment and inner peace. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. True greatness is shown in humility, not in the need for applause. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that your worth is not defined by external approval but by the integrity of your actions. As we grow older, we learn to live our lives in such a way that our reputation becomes an extension of our dignity, something that speaks for itself without the need for constant reinforcement. 9. Sexuality. Your sexuality, your intimate life, is a deeply personal and private realm that belongs solely to you, and if you have a partner, it belongs to both of you. As we age, society often tries to impose certain definitions of what is acceptable or normal when it comes to intimacy for older adults. These definitions can sometimes diminish the value of intimacy in later years, suggesting that as we grow older, we should no longer desire or pursue intimate connections. However, the truth is that for those who choose to embrace this aspect of life, it remains just as meaningful, vibrant, and personal as it always has been. Consider someone like Linda, a 72-year-old widow in Texas. After her husband passed away a few years ago, Linda spent some time reflecting on her desires and needs. While many of her friends encouraged her to settle down or stop looking for romance, Linda felt a strong desire to keep her intimate life active. She started a new relationship with someone who shared her values and interests, and for the first time in years, Linda felt alive in ways she hadn't expected. Despite society's expectations about aging and intimacy, Linda realized that her sexuality was still an important part of who she was, a source of joy, connection, and personal fulfillment. Too often, older adults are pressured to silence or deny their desires, as if intimacy is something that should be left behind as we age. But the reality is, that sexuality doesn't lose its value with age. For those who choose to keep this part of their lives alive, it can be an enriching and empowering experience. Whether you decide to continue enjoying an active intimate life or to step away from it, the decision is entirely yours, and it doesn't require anyone else's approval or understanding. Think about Tom, a 68-year-old man from Florida, who has been in a long-term partnership with his wife, Janet. As they entered their later years, they faced some of the common challenges that come with aging: changes in physical health, energy levels, and desires. While some people in their circle made comments suggesting that older couples should just let it go, Tom and Janet chose to communicate openly about their needs and desires. They found new ways to connect intimately that didn't rely on societal expectations, creating a space for themselves where their sexuality remained vibrant and meaningful. The key is understanding that intimacy is a deeply personal choice, and it doesn't have to conform to societal expectations. As we grow older, we become more attuned to what truly matters to us, and that includes our desires for physical connection. Whether you choose to keep this part of your life active or to let it rest, the decision is entirely in your hands. In the end, what matters most is that you honor your own needs, desires, and comfort level without being swayed by external opinions. Your intimate life is your own to define, and it should be approached with the same dignity and respect as any other part of your journey. There is no right or wrong way to experience intimacy as you age, only what feels true and fulfilling for you.